Hi there, and welcome to this edition of Empowerment Hour. I'm Denise Oliver, your host. I'm also my own guest today. How does it get any better than that? Welcome, welcome, welcome to Empowerment Hour here at Calon FM. Once again, I am not in the studio. I'm not quite sure when that is going to be happening. Things are moving, aren't they? Restaurants, pubs open. I know here in Chester we had a very short season with the theatre being in the park, and people I get are ready to get back to something that resembled the normality before the end of March occurred. And can you believe we're in September? We've had the last bank holiday of the year before Christmas. So that's the next big thing on the calendar. What will Christmas be like this year? I can't begin to imagine. So, what shall we talk about today? Well, I thought, as I normally have a guest, I asked the guest to introduce themselves. So I'm going to introduce me to anybody who's new to Empowerment Hour here on Calon FM. So I'm Denise Oliver. I'm an ex-nurse. I was a nurse part-time and full-time for over 30 years. I loved what I did. I specialised in orthopaedics and in district nursing. I worked for a while in sexual health, family planning, and all sorts of other in-between jobs that fitted in with the family. I have three very grown-up children now in their late 20s, early 30s, one of which is married. And I don't think the other two are going to be far behind, to be honest. They've both got lovely partners, and who knows, it's their life, it's their choice, and they must choose to live with their partners or by themselves, whatever their choice is, whatever's going to work for them. What else can I tell you about myself? So one of the things that happened for me was that I was the sort of person who shrank myself in favour of others. Every time somebody criticised me or judged me, I just bent and folded and stapled myself to fit into their world to such an extent that I completely lost myself. And of course, there's nobody out there listening to this who can identify with that, is there? Or is there? So what began to happen for me was, when I started to recognize this, was that my health began to be affected by this. And that's not a nice place to be. It's really not. To the extent that I got Lyme's disease, my immune system was totally overwhelmed. And for several years, I was literally clawing my way back to living. I wasn't thriving in any way. I was barely alive, really. I certainly didn't enjoy life like I do now. So what changed for me? Well, I did several. Having been a nurse, I was very much into medicine and science and things like that. And when I got Lyme's disease, it couldn't help me. It didn't know what to do with me. So I had to turn and look at alternatives. And it's the alternatives that have really changed things for me. I went on many courses, I met many people, and I'm so grateful to each and every one of them. I learned Reiki, I learned EFT tapping. What else did I do? I did something called Psych K, a form of kinesiology. I went to see multiple other therapists, kinesiologists, osteopaths, acupuncturists. I loved reflexology. Oh my goodness, the relaxation that would bring, and none of it would last. And I would end up sliding back into a state of just feeling completely locked into my body and locked out of this reality. Nothing seemed to shift that weird, weird goldfish bowl I found myself in. That was until the day access consciousness came into my world. And yeah, I get that some of this program is going to be talking about that. So I tell you what we'll do is we will take a break for our first song, and I will come back after this break and talk about access consciousness. How does it get any better than this? Hi there and welcome back. Welcome back to what? Well, welcome back to Empowerment Hour here at Calon FM. I'm Denise Oliver, the host and the guest today. So I said before that first song that we heard that access consciousness was this modality, this thing that brought me back to being me, the me that I knew was possible and didn't know how to access it. So literally, I was accessing my consciousness by using the tools and techniques that Access Consciousness, the company, offer. So how did it start? It started by my meeting a wonderful woman called Fiona Cutts, and Fiona is over in Europe. She got stranded there in Montenegro during lockdown. She went there to do a class and stayed there 5 months. She loved it so much. She's even talking about buying a property over there and living there and, I don't know, working from there. She loved it so much. The sea, the olive groves, all of that. Now, when I first met her, she was such a quiet, mousy woman that there was no way I would ever have thought that she was someone who would even contemplate doing something like that. That's how much you can find yourself using these tools. So I went along to a class that she was doing in Manchester. And she invited me along after I'd watched her on social media, going from being quiet and not putting herself out there, not being willing to be seen. Suddenly she'd stepped into the light and stepped onto the stage of her life, like the diva that she is. She started to use questions like, how does it get any better than this, and what else is possible? And there was something about those questions that resonated with me so much that I knew I had to find out more. So I did follow her. I stalked her. I always say this. I did. I stalked the woman. She didn't know I was doing it, and I don't encourage people to do that. But I guess that in many ways, a lot of us are, because, you know, we watch what people are doing. We don't like or comment on their posts on social media, yet we still want to know what they're up to. So yeah, I stalked her. I didn't camp outside her house or anything like that. I was just literally wanting to know day by day by day what she was doing and what had helped her create this change, because I knew that the energy of that change, of stepping into something that wasn't her comfort zone at the time, was where I wished to be. I contacted her and I said, these two questions, how does it get any better than this, and what else is possible? Could I use these? I'll credit you because that's where I've seen them, if that's okay with you. And she just came back with, haha, yes, of course, go ahead. And they're not mine. You need to look this up. And she gave me the Access Consciousness website. I didn't look it up. I'm not like that. I don't do extensive research. I just knew that there was something in this that was what I required. Then she went on to say, I'm going to be in Manchester in a couple of weeks. Why don't you come to this day event and find out a bit more? Right. Oh, right. Okay. I mean, gosh, I've been on courses, you name it. I've probably been there in some form or other. And so I chose to go on this day in Manchester. And for so much of that day, I wondered what was going on, why I was there. Was I wasting my time? It just seemed so airy-fairy. And then there was this weird thing that they have in Access called the clearing statement, which she started to use. And it just made me very angry, and I just wondered what the hell I was doing with me, who wasn't feeling well, with my time, which as a mum of 3 kids, I just thought was far too precious to be wasting on something like this, and with my money. So it wasn't until the end of the day when she started to talk about something called access bars, and that she had a training day about it in another couple of weeks' time at her home in Hebden Bridge. And I just sat there and I just looked at her like, oh God, really? More of this, really? And she just looked directly at me and said, oh, you're interested? And I was like, no, I'm not. Why would I be interested in this? And she said, put your hands up. Is it? And my right hand was like at right angles to my body. And I had no idea or sense that it was there. I just didn't. And that shocked me. It's like, am I so disconnected from my own body that I don't really know what it desires and requires? And I was like, oh my goodness, but my language was more colourful than that at the time. I went, oh, looks like I am. Because I thought the hand that I looked at belonged to the person next to me. It wasn't mine. I mean, how bizarre is that? And I am so grateful to my body for overriding anything that my brain was thinking, because my body really knew that the bars, which it had never received, it didn't know what it was, but it got the energy of, was required. And yeah, safe to say, I did go on and do that bars day. And I tell you what, we'll have a break and I'll come back and I'll tell you about that, and I'll tell you about the bars, and I'll talk to you about something that I've recognized over time that has changed for me, that I know it was the bars and access that created this. So hi there, welcome back. This is me, Denise Oliver. I'm flying solo today with Empowerment Hour, and I'm bringing you information about the work I do, I guess, and that how, if you're listening to this, how some of my story and other people that come into my world, how this may benefit you if you wish to choose it. Because at the end of the day, you have to choose what works for you. You have to choose if you wish to change something about you and your life. One of the things we talk about in Access Consciousness is that you can't change anyone else. You can only change you. You can suggest to people, you can give examples to people, but until they're ready to step into change, it ain't going to happen. And in Access, we always say, you get it when you get it. So before the break that we had, I was saying that I would come back and I would talk about access bars and what can happen with bars. So for me, I went on this training day and I was such a stress head that it was normal for me to worry incessantly, to be woken up at night worrying about anything and everything was normal. That was what had been happening for years and years and years. And I used to say it because I became a mum and had children. It wasn't. I used to do it before. I'd either sleep the sleep of the dead and crash for hours, or I'd hardly sleep at all. And I'm so grateful to say that since Access Bars and Access Consciousness and all its tools and techniques and body processes, that rarely happens. And if I do find myself not being able to sleep, I have tools that help that. I just can get to sleep with total ease now. And I sleep a lot less, which never ceases to amaze me. When I did sleep, the sleep of the dead, the long sleep, I would need a minimum of 12 hours. Now, I probably do 7 to 8 regularly and sleep really well. I am so grateful to this modality. I cannot begin to tell you. One of the things I heard someone say about access bars, and it really resonated with me, was that she realized there was really something really special, really profound about this particular modality, was when she recognized in a quiet moment that the buzz of anxiety that she'd been living with wasn't there anymore. And it took her by surprise that, oh my goodness, I didn't realize that I didn't have to have that to be alive. And I suddenly realized that that was the same for me. My body used to throb and ache, and I thought that was somehow normal. And that had got worse when I had the Lyme's disease and the chronic fatigue and the busy head. Well, it was the head that was on acid. It was bizarre how ridiculous my thoughts became. And I just don't have that now. I have someone else who I had on my show in June, Alan Jones, said that after he had his bars, there was just nothing. There was silence. And he couldn't recall ever experiencing silence in his brain. Another friend describes it as her head is so busy before she gets her bars run. And then once her bars are run, her brain's it's like a mill pond. It's like, oh, life is just so lovely. And people know once they've started to get their bars run on a regular basis when it needs running again, when the bars need running again. So what are the bars? They're points on your head. They were gifted to a guy called Gary Douglas 30 years ago now. And he's built this access consciousness business, bringing consciousness around the planet. It's in over 180 countries around the globe. And it's just phenomenal. It is so simple. Children love it. They love to receive it. They love to touch other people's heads because it's really simple. They just follow pictures and touch people's heads. And adults fall fast asleep usually when children touch their heads because the energy of a child is so joyful. And we've forgotten as adults what that energy is, because you're not allowed to be happy anymore. We have to be serious and we have to get on with our life. Well, what if we could be happy and still get on with our lives? What if we could enjoy every moment of this reality, no matter whether we're in a lockdown situation, a restricted situation, or freedom to come and go as we please? What if we became aware of what it would be like for us to be happy? What if we could be aware of what that is for us? What if we could be aware of when people were pushing our buttons and still we knew that we were okay? What would that be like for you? And this is what I've discovered. When I was a nutritional therapist, and I still love anything alternative nutrition, I love it. I love reading books on alternative nutrition, blah, blah, blah. And I also love finding out when new research comes out, things like the digestive system, the immune system, a lot of talk about the immune system and helping with COVID and things like that, and how to prevent, actually, if you get it, prevent it from being really serious. So I love all of that. But one of the things people used to say to me was, oh my goodness, I always feel so calm when I've seen you. I would be churning inside, absolutely churning, because what if I'd said something that didn't work? What if I'd said something that was wrong? What if they found out what a fraud I was and that really I knew nothing? That they would go away with all this instruction on stuff they knew nothing about that I had helped them with. But I couldn't see that that's what I'd done. I went into worrying so much about getting it right. Hi there, welcome back. This is Empowerment Hour here at Calon FM. I'm Denise Oliver, and I'd just like to say that a lot of you don't really know what I do, and so I'm an Access Consciousness certified facilitator, as well as a host of this radio show, as well as a wife, as well as a mum, and one of the most important roles in my life now is being that certified facilitator. I'm a change agent. I'm a facilitator of magic and awesomeness. And sessions with me, learning access bars, going on to do a 4-day course called the Access Consciousness Foundation, can change you into something so magical, so wonderful, full of possibility, rather than dread or angst or whatever. I can't begin to tell you. Well, I hope you can hear it in my voice, because at one time, if you'd listened to me, my voice was monotone. There was nothing in me that felt like I could be happy. But with access, I can. So from worrying all the time when I was a nutritional therapist to not worrying has been one of the biggest changes for me, that has just changed me and just what can I say, brought me alive, brought me back to who I truly be. And now when I'm with a client, when I'm doing my training days, I am calm, I am ease, and I just don't have that throb, that buzz that was so unpleasant of anxiety in my body. It just doesn't exist. It's gone. And for the life of me, I couldn't find it if I tried. I just don't know where it will be. So one thing that I just want to share with you is that in Access, we ask questions all the time. So we talk about question, choice, possibility, and contribution. So a question I was given when I first came to Access on that very first bars training day, when everything I thought I was a wrongness, where I would get it wrong, I wouldn't be able to do this thing which is so simple that kids do it. Oh my goodness. And I realise now that so much of what I considered my wrongness was judgment, horrific judgment of me. I abused me so much with the judgments of me that I took on from other people, that I allowed them to do, and I thought they were right and I was wrong. So the question that I was given was, what's right about me I'm not getting? And I just kept asking it, so what is right about me I'm not getting? Every time I heard someone judge me, I'd be like, so what's right about that I'm not getting? And instead of getting upset about it, I'd look at it and I'd be like, actually, I don't get what they're on about. That isn't me. Whatever they're saying about me, that's not me. I know that's not me. And at other times, be like, oh, that's interesting. How much information is there that I can take away and I can work on? What can I change in my world what is that bringing up for me? What tool do I require from Access in order to look at that and to change me? Because I'm all about changing me. If something comes up around health, around my body, the earth, my money situation, my business, relationships, friends, family, what can I change about me? Not what can they change because I'm all right. No, there's always more that can be changed. Always, always, always. And I just want to, this isn't just, you might think, oh yeah, they're great. Yeah, that's what you found. But I just want to read you something. I've got it up here so that I can read it to you. That one of the latest ladies who came to a bars training day, and it was on August the 1st here in Chester. Her name's Jenny Parry, and Jenny lives and works in Holywell, North Wales. And this is what she wrote to me very recently. So she said, I first had my bars run during an especially stressful time for me, and the sense of calm and clarity to thinking afterwards was like nothing I had ever experienced. It was like all the noise in my head had been switched off, and after having my bars run a few more times with the same results, I knew I had to learn more, which is why I signed up for the training. The training day was fabulous. Learning to run the bars was as satisfying as having my own bars run, and the additional access consciousness tools we explored have been built into my day-to-day life. Oh, that's the timer telling me it's time to go to another break. I've got my phone on, but I'll continue reading what Jenny said. Oh, that's made me laugh so much. Where was she? The training day was fabulous. La la la. I am only at the start of my journey, but already things which seemed insurmountable only weeks ago have been resolved, and I am much calmer, peaceful, and making better decisions. I don't know where I go next yet, but I do know that bars will be a part of my life forever. I'm so grateful to Jenny for that. Oh, and by the way, if my phone had gone off a few years ago before I had the tools of access, and I would have just freaked. I would have just, my heart would have raced. I would have started sweating because that's wrong. That's not supposed to happen. I'm recording a radio show. And now I'm just like, oh, that's hilarious. Because that's life. Things come and interrupt us. And, what are you going to do when something like that happens? Anyway, back to Jenny. I'm so grateful to Jenny. I remember her so much on the day. She's someone who loves information. And on a bars training day, you learn to run bars. You do it twice, and you get your bars run twice in a day as well. And the first time she was having her bars run, I was still talking. Oh my goodness, would she relax? No, she had to have all the information. Everything I was saying, she had to have. And I was like, Jenny, you just need to allow your body to relax and switch off. And in the afternoon, I did it in almost silence. So there wasn't me talking. And the lady, Hajni Rovo, who was running her bars, Hajni originally from Hungary, living in Southport, who was running her bars, just felt her go. She took like this deep sigh and she was gone. She was away. And in that space, so much change can occur. And it's that wonderful space when you're getting your bars run that allows your brain to really calm down, for the noise to just go away. And when that happens, it affects your whole body. Your whole body relaxes. I have never come across anything like this. Is it for everyone? I would say no, it's not. That said, I would always suggest that perhaps you find when we can go back to doing this, a taster, so that you can go and have 20 to 30 minutes of this and see how it affects you. Some people need more than one session. And actually, I'll come back and talk about a guy in Access who, if it wasn't for his kids, wouldn't be in Access now. So let's take another break, as my phone told me. That's what we need to do. Stay tuned. This is Calon FM. I'm Denise Oliver. I'll be back shortly. Hi there. How are you doing? We're almost at the end of the show. This is the penultimate section. And I said that I would talk about a guy who's in Access, and if it hadn't been for his children, he possibly wouldn't have been. I'm talking about access consciousness and access bars at the moment in particular, because this is where we all start in Access. If you want to look up more about access consciousness, you can go to their website, accessconsciousness.com. You can go to my website, Diva, E-D-E-V-A, Diva as in the Roman word for Chester, divaempowerment.co.uk. And there you'll find, the Access website is full of stuff. It has its own shops. They've written a ton of books, courses, lots of free stuff, loads and loads of Access stuff on YouTube. And I'll come back and talk about YouTube before the end of the show, because I've got free stuff on there now as well. But let's talk about this guy. So his name's Anthony Mathis. He's married. He's got 3 children. And when his youngest was, I'm going to say she was probably about 5 or 6, his wife committed suicide. Now, as you can imagine, That was absolutely traumatic. I mean, really traumatic. When you've got 3 kids, you're working all the hours God sends as a chiropractor, and you don't know how to put one foot in front of the other, and you blame yourself for so much of what's gone on or not gone on, or what you should have seen and what you didn't see. How on earth do you come back from that? Well, someone told him about access bars, and they said that it would really help the children, and that if he could just bring himself to do stuff with them, they knew that he would be able to move on, because the kids move on way faster. They don't hold on to stuff. Yes, they missed their mum, and they're not gonna wallow in the grief. They want to move on and get on with their lives. So Anthony piled them all into a car. He had to drive. He's in America. He had to drive 4.5 hours to get to this bars class. I mean, what a trek to start with, but that's how committed he was with his children. So he did it for them to start with. They have their bars run, and Anthony's like, well, that was all right. That was very lovely. We'll lay down, and now I've got to drive 4.5 hours back. And it was his children who said to him, we have to do that again, because we felt so much better. And he's like, I didn't. Okay, so for them, he kept doing this. And it wasn't until either the 5th or the 6th time he realised that stuckness that he had around his wife's suicide, around his guilt around that, was lifting. And that's when I say that for most people, they have a session once and it appears to change things. But other people, depends where you're at, depends what the changes you're asking for, it may take several sessions. And this is where, when you if you come to a training day and you learn this, and you learn it with someone else you know, a family member or a friend, then that's it. You've got a tool for life. And the two of you get together and you share this process. And you never have to pay for therapy again. It's great. Love it. And so that's when Anthony recognised that actually it wasn't just his children who were benefiting from having their bars run. Suddenly so was he. He discovered the joy of being alive again. He didn't have to cut something of himself off or shut himself down because of the choice his wife had made. And to this day, he's one of the loveliest guys in Access. He's a sweetheart. He loves what he does, and he's one of those people who's great with bodies and body work and energy and things like that. So, can Access change stuff? Yes. When I'm with someone, do I know what that change will be? No. I just know that something will occur. And sometimes it can be months and years down the line before somebody even recognises it themselves. I had a lady came up to me at a Mind, Body, Spirit event, and I knew her. And she's like, you don't recognise me, do you? And I was like, well, I do. I know I've met you. She said, yeah, it was 3.5 years ago. I came to you once. I was the lady who could tell you what each of the bars was, and I'd never done it before. And you were really surprised at that. And I left thinking, well, that was very nice. I won't do that again. And at the time, she had been in financial difficulties. Her relationship was difficult. And she said that after having her bars run, her life changed. She was able to sell a business she'd been trying to sell for a long time. She didn't end up going through bankruptcy. She was able to, I think she sold her house and moved somewhere else, and her marriage stayed the same after one session of bars. But she said it was months later before she realised what had happened, and that something about having her bars run had shifted something in her. She didn't have a word for it. She just knew something had shifted. Now, can I say that that will happen outright for you? No, I can't, because I don't know you, and I don't know what will happen for you. I just know the benefits for me, for other people that I come across, the the change in their sleep pattern, the change in how relaxed you are from day to day, the change in when challenges come at you, how you can see them and not go into a spiral of panic and anxiety, that actually you can deal with them, you can move through them. It's just the most phenomenal tool and modality I have ever come across. So if you'd like to know more about what I'm talking about, I have a page on Facebook, Diva Empowerment, where I post all sorts of things and events and everything like that. I have my website, Diva Empowerment, which is gradually becoming more of what I've hoped it would be for months now. So I have a lot of blog posts, I write regularly. If you'd like my newsletter, you can contact me at Denise Oliver at Diva Empowerment and let me know, and I can put you on the newsletter list where I share all sorts of things that are going on, etc. So one of the things I'm going to come back and share with you finally for the very last, very short session is my YouTube channel. Hi there, welcome back. This is Empowerment Hour. I'm Denise Oliver. I've been the host and the guest all rolled into one today. So this final section will be short and sweet, and I have an ask of you. So I have a YouTube channel. I've had it for years, and one of the things that I've been told is, and I'm still investigating this, is that I can't change the name of the URL of my YouTube channel, which is Do Nutrition, which I was years ago when I set it up, until I have over 100 subscribers. Now, I've never used it very much, but now I've got over 80 videos on there, and some of them are Empowerment Hour. So I've been introduced recently to iMovie and how I can create the audios of the radio shows into an MP4 that YouTube accepts. So there's 20 of those, and this one will be added by the end of September. So that will put the numbers up as well. I've also got on there 30 days of access tools that just choose one, listen to it, see if that's going to work for you, if there's any benefit in it for you. You may like it, you may not, choose another one. I also did a 31-day challenge of a tool of access consciousness called All of Life Comes to Me with Ease and Joy and Glory. We say it 10 times in the morning, 10 times in the evening. So 31 days of that. There's a video taken somewhere around Chester, so you can go and take a look at where I've been going to do all the videos. When we've had lovely weather, when it's been raining, when there's been noise in the background, when it's been really quiet. All of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. 10 times. So each of the videos I say it 10 times. So they're about a minute each. So if you listen to all of them, one after the other, you're talking 31 minutes. That's it. And if you did that every day for several days on the trot, you would start to get a sense of a shift in your energy, and you would just start to notice things different. It would just open up your universe in a way that you may never have experienced before. So if it comes to you to go onto YouTube, if you put Denise Oliver in, one of the things that appears to come up is an Empowerment Hour video, which is Denise Oliver with Denise Oliver, because I did another flying solo show back in June, I think it was, May or June, I can't remember now, and that will come up and you'll see me there, and you'll see the Calon FM studio, and it says Empowerment Hour on it. When you can actually get onto the front page, it says Diva Empowerment on it, my picture's on there, and there's playlist, and you can look at the playlist. So the Empowerment Hour playlist, All of Life Comes to Me, These John Glory playlist, the 30 Days of Access Tools playlist, and anything else that might be there that you might want to take a look at. So I'm going to be developing it more and more with you in mind, with the benefits of what this brings you, just chats that I have here, there and everywhere. So if it comes to you, you're on YouTube, to go and take a look, and you want to assist me in being able to change the name That's all I'm asking for. Once I've changed the name, once I'm at 100, you can unsubscribe. It's simple, really, isn't it? I'm not going to bombard you with stuff. I don't do that. I'd be so grateful to you. So we're going to end the show on that today. Everyone who's listening, thank you so very, very much. I appreciate each and every one of you. Without you listening, there wouldn't be a show. So stay tuned to Calon FM. So much more coming up. And thank you. And I will be back next week. Have a great week. Enjoy this first week of September. Bye for now.